My wife kept saying, "I'm not your mom," every time I asked for help, so I stopped paying her bills, fixing the house, and let her walk right into a divorce that she didn't see coming. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Hi everyone, I've been debating whether to post this because I already know what some of the replies are going to be. You should have seen it coming. Or, well, you picked her. But honestly, I'm not here for validation. I just need to get this out. Maybe someone's been through something similar, and it'll help them feel less nuts. All right, here we go. I've, 36 male, been married to Chelsea, 35 female, for just over 10 years, but we've been together longer. We met in college at a house party. She was funny, smart, knew how to roast people without being mean about it. I liked that. We dated for a couple years, moved in together after graduation, got married a year later. Thought we were solid. I mean, don't get me wrong. We had our disagreements like any couple, but we had decent communication and made it through some rough patches. I'm a senior project manager at a construction firm. It's not a fancy job, but it's stable, and I'm good at it. High stress sometimes, but it pays well, and I've been able to give my family a comfortable life. Chelsea stayed home after we had our second kid, Ivy, 4 female. Our older one, Dylan, 7 male. Back when we talked about her staying home, it was mutual. We both figured it made sense while the kids were small. Daycare was crazy expensive, and she said she wanted to be with them while they were young. But lately, she's different. And not like small changes different. I'm talking full-on mentally checked out of everything that doesn't revolve around herself. I know how that sounds. I sound bitter already, but hang on. So, here's a snapshot of how things have been. I wake up, get the kids ready for school, pack lunches, do breakfast. Then I start work. I work from home, and I've got a little office in the back, so I don't get in anyone's way. I'm in meetings half the day, writing reports, coordinating projects with subcontractors, basically glued to my desk with a headset on most of the time. Meanwhile, Chelsea, she sleeps in. Doesn't cook, doesn't clean. Ivy's in preschool 3 days a week, and somehow the house still looks like a raccoon tore through it by noon. And before anyone says parenting is hard, yeah, it is. I've been doing it. I'm not clueless. But this ain't about being tired from kids. It's about not even trying anymore. She started outsourcing everything, hired a cleaner out of nowhere, didn't even bring it up first, just dropped it in like she was telling me what brand of milk she bought. Oh, by the way, she said, flipping through her phone like she was checking the weather, Sandra's coming on Fridays now. She'll handle the deep cleaning. I blinked. Wait, Sandra who? The cleaner, she said, not even looking up. It's essential for my mental health. Okay, but we didn't talk about this? She finally looked at me, annoyed like I'd just asked her to explain how electricity works. Brandon, I've been carrying the emotional labor for this family for years. Years. I'm allowed to delegate. Delegate? I repeated. You hired someone without asking and told me after the fact. She rolled her eyes. Do I need your permission to breathe now too? I swear, men always get so weird when women prioritize themselves. I'm not mad that you're prioritizing yourself. I'm just saying maybe, I don't know, a heads up before a stranger shows up at our front door with a mop? She crossed her arms. You'd rather I burn out and have a breakdown? That's what you're saying? No, I said slowly, trying not to lose it. I'm saying maybe communication would be cool. Like basic, hey, I'm hiring someone to come into our house kind of stuff. She turned back to her phone. Sandra's got great reviews. Don't worry about it. Right. Because clearly, I was the only one worrying about anything. At that point, I realized it wasn't about help. It wasn't even about the cleaner. It was about control. She wanted to call the shots, spend freely, and if I questioned it, I was suddenly not being supportive or dismissing her healing. Even when the cleaner comes, she doesn't prep the house or anything. Just sits on the couch scrolling her phone while someone else does the work. Ivy goes to daycare full-time now, and Chelsea uses that time to charge or focus on her inner self. She's been listening to these weird self-improvement podcasts that talk about feminine energy and becoming a high-value woman. Suddenly, I'm the enemy because I expect her to participate in the home she lives in. It's not like I ever said, I go to work, so you do everything else. I cook half the dinners, I fold laundry, I bathe the kids, I do yard work, I take out the trash, I fix broken crap around the house, and I do it without complaining. But then she started acting like asking her to do anything was some kind of insult. I knew things were getting bad when she started making these little jabs. Stuff like, I wish I'd waited for someone who actually appreciated my ambition. Or, I never imagined being stuck in this life so young. Just small enough to pretend they were jokes, but sharp enough to hit. She said those things with this tone like she wanted me to hear them, like I was the weight around her ankle. I'd been ignoring it for a while, thinking maybe it was a phase or something. But then she started getting bold. Last week, I asked her if she could at least load the dishwasher when I'm on back-to-back calls. I was polite about it, not trying to start anything. She just said, Brandon, I'm not your mom. Real smug. Just looked at me like that settled it. I didn't even know how to respond at first. I'm not asking her to do my homework or wipe my nose. I'm asking her to do her part. It's our house. Our kids. We both live here. How did that become a controversial take? I've never needed much. Just teamwork. Mutual effort. Respect. But I'm starting to realize that I'm the only one who still thinks this is a partnership. She's on some solo journey, and I'm just supposed to bankroll it while pretending like everything's normal. Well, I'm not pretending anymore. Not cleaning up after someone who doesn't respect me. Not gonna keep being the default parent, default cleaner, default everything while being told I'm the problem for even noticing. Something's gotta change. And soon. I was trying to keep the peace, but it was bugging me. So I brought it up. Again. I wasn't even mad. I just said something like, hey, do you think we could both try to stay on top of the house stuff more? It's been rough keeping up with everything while working full-time. She said the same thing again, like it was her favorite excuse. I'm not your mom, Brandon. Like that was her mic drop. Since that talk, I stopped fixing things around the house. Usually, I'd be up on the ladder changing light bulbs, oiling hinges, touching up paint, unclogging drains. All the invisible stuff that makes a home run smoothly. Not anymore. She wants to claim she's not my mom? Fine. And guess what? Stuff started breaking. Light in the hallway went out. Fan in the guest room started making this loud clicking noise. The bathroom drawer came off its track. She walked in one night holding the drawer in both hands like it had personally offended her. Can you fix this? She asked. Nope, I said. She blinked. Seriously? Yeah, I'm not your dad, I said calmly. Just matter of fact. She stood there, drawer in hand, like I'd just told her the earth was flat. You're seriously not going to help? She said, already getting louder. Help? I repeated. Chelsea, I've been managing this house, working full-time, and raising our kids. That's not help. That's surviving. You want the drawer fixed? You've got the same internet I do. Google it. Oh my God, she snapped. This is so petty. Is it? I said, finally looking at her. Or is it just the first time I've stopped doing everything without asking for anything back? She set the drawer down on the counter, hard enough to make a thud, crossed her arms, and just stared at me like she was waiting for me to crack. I didn't. You used to do this stuff without acting like it was some huge deal, she muttered. Yeah, I said, because back then it was part of a team. Now it's like I'm running a one-man maintenance crew for a house you treat like a hotel. She stormed off again. I saw the look on her face before she walked away. She was stunned. Not because of what I said, but because she wasn't used to hearing no. For years, I handled everything. Every flat tire, every broken shelf, every printer jam, every time the garbage disposal made that weird noise. I made sure things worked, stayed stocked, got done. She never had to think about it. And stupid me, I never stopped to say, hey, maybe this should be shared. It wasn't about the drawer. It never was. It was about the pattern. And the fact that I finally broke it. Thing is, I wasn't doing this to punish her. I just wanted her to realize I wasn't going to keep carrying everything like a mule while she floated around in her bubble of self-care and self-importance. I get needing rest. I get being overwhelmed. But you don't get to weaponize it to avoid doing anything. It's crazy how fast she flipped the script. One week, I'm the provider, the dad, the handyman, the chef, the bedtime storyteller. Next week, I'm the enemy because I said I wanted some balance. I wasn't even asking her to go back to work or anything. Just pick up after herself. Maybe clean a bathroom. Maybe remember that a relationship involves two people. Not one guy doing laps while the other reads self-help quotes on Instagram. But instead of talking it out, she doubled down. The more I pulled back, the more bitter she got. Started talking about how she needs her own identity and how she doesn't even recognize herself anymore. And I get that. I do. But it's wild how that realization only came around once she had someone else doing all the hard parts of life for her. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I've definitely made mistakes. But if you look at what I actually do versus what I'm being accused of, it's like two different realities. But then things started getting weirder. One afternoon, I got a fraud alert email from our bank. Nothing alarming, just a heads up that our checking account had multiple transfers to a new savings account. one I didn't recognize. I assumed maybe she was moving stuff around, but I figured I'd ask. Hey, I said casually while we were both in the kitchen. Did you move some money into a new savings account? She didn't look up from cutting strawberries. Yeah, just setting something up for security. You know, just in case. In case of what? She shrugged. Nothing. I just think it's smart to have backup money that isn't all in one place. That's what my podcast said. I let it go in the moment, but that didn't sit right with me. I checked the bank account later. It wasn't just one transfer, it was four. Small enough to not trigger anything major. $60 here, $85 there, $150 another day. All in the last 2 weeks. All to the same external account that only had her name on it. I'm not paranoid, but I'm not stupid either. So I started watching. I opened the banking app daily, quietly. I started exporting the statements into PDFs, highlighting transfers, notes, timestamps. She'd title them vague things like grocery backup or rainy day, but I know our grocery store. It doesn't deposit into a private savings account under Chelsea J. I also noticed her purchases were ramping up. Yoga mat, $130. Organic facial cleanser, $65. Some kind of transformational online course that ran her $299, all charged to the joint debit. Meanwhile, I'm meal prepping to save money, bringing coffee from home, skipping lunch some days when things are slammed. It's like we were living in two different economic brackets. What really made me stop and go, okay, nah, this ain't normal, was when I saw a $400 transfer on a day she told me we were tight on bills. She literally said we should skip takeout that week and just cook at home, which I agreed with. We've got a mortgage, 2 kids, and inflation kicking everyone's teeth in. But that same day, boom, $400 moved to her backup. I think what really cemented it for me was when I asked her if she wanted to do a date night just to reconnect. I offered to handle the babysitter, pick a place, make it easy. She looked at me dead in the face and said, "Why? So we can pretend for a night that we're not just roommates?" That one hit different. Not because it was mean, though, yeah, it was, but because she said it like she'd already checked out. Like she was just biding her time until she could make her big exit, tell her friends she tried, and move on to some vision board lifestyle with better lighting. Fine. I started documenting everything. Screenshots, dates, even saved the emails with the alerts. I don't know what triggered it exactly, but I had this feeling, like she was gearing up to do something and wanted to have all her ducks in a row before pulling the plug. One Tuesday, I pulled the trigger and called a lawyer. I just needed information at first. What would custody look like? What kind of financial moves could I make now that wouldn't screw me later? I didn't want to be some bitter ex getting roasted in court for reacting too fast, but I also wasn't about to be the idiot caught off guard while she made herself the victim in her littler birth story. The lawyer, older guy, calm, no nonsense, laid it out for me. If you think she's planning something, he said, act like she already has. That hit me. Because deep down, I already knew she had. The money, the attitude, the passive-aggressive digs. She was just waiting for the right moment to play her hand. So I started mine. First, I opened a new checking account under my name only, quietly moved a chunk of my paycheck there, and redirected future direct deposits. Didn't clean out the joint account, just adjusted the flow. I left enough in there to keep her from noticing. If she thought things were normal, she'd keep slipping. Next, I stopped using the joint debit card, went full cash or personal account only. If she asked, I said, just trying to budget tighter with inflation and all that. She bought it. Didn't even question it. Probably figured I was being cheap or insecure. Whatever. The less she knew, the better. Then I got serious about documentation. Every email with her name on a charge. Every receipt from her cleaner, her yoga classes, her business course that's still sitting in her inbox unopened. I took photos of the house too. The mess, the toys left everywhere, the dishes stacked for days. Not for petty reasons, but because I could already hear her saying Brandon didn't help with the kids and I was doing everything. So I gathered proof of the opposite. Pics of me making lunches, school reminders on the fridge, text threads with teachers. I even started writing down what time I picked up the kids, who I talked to at school, little daily logs. If it came down to a custody fight, I wasn't walking in empty-handed while she cried about her mental fatigue. That weekend, I told her I had to work late on a Saturday, which wasn't even a lie. I had a site deadline. She rolled her eyes and said something like, you know, some dads actually spend time with their families. Right. Like the dad who signs field trip forms, fixes leaky pipes, and still gets crap for breathing too loud. While she was busy giving me attitude, I was in the garage boxing up stuff I knew I'd need for a new place. Slowly. Not enough to look suspicious. Just personal things. Documents, tools, spare clothes. I kept them in the trunk. If she snooped, I didn't want her finding anything in the house. Every day felt like walking around a tripwire. She'd flip moods hourly. One second she's being fake sweet, asking what I want for dinner, as if she's gonna cook. The next, she's muttering stuff like, I can't wait to be appreciated one day. It was like she was rehearsing a breakup where she got to be the main character. Then this happened. I was grabbing a hoodie from the hallway closet when I heard her voice in the bedroom. Door cracked just enough. She was on the phone, definitely not whispering. I just can't keep doing this, she said, annoyed. It's like I'm stuck in this domestic dead end while he plays the martyr. I should have left months ago. I froze. She laughed a little and went on. No, I haven't told him yet. I'm waiting until I've got everything lined up. I'm not stupid. She wasn't talking to a lawyer. She was talking to her friend. I heard her say something about wanting a clean break and how she's been journaling about the future she deserves. I didn't say anything, just backed away, closed the closet quietly, and went back to my office. She had no clue I heard everything. If she was going to walk out, she wasn't taking my kids, my savings, or the shirt off my back with her. I wasn't the guy who begs to be kept. I was the guy who read the signs and acted before the storm. The process server was already lined up. The paperwork was almost ready. The timeline was mine to control now. All I had to do was wait for her to make the announcement, and I'd hit send on the next phase. It all came to a head on a Wednesday night. Not even a dramatic night. No storm, no screaming kids in the background, just a regular midweek evening where I was catching up on emails, and she walked in like she had a script rehearsed. She sat on the edge of the couch, said we needed to talk. Classic setup. I nodded and muted my laptop. I've been thinking, she started, like this was brand new information. I don't think this is working anymore. I didn't say anything right away, just looked at her and waited. I already knew this was coming, but hearing it out loud still hit a nerve. She said it so calmly, so detached, like she wasn't about to nuke the life we built, like it was just another thing to check off her list. I'm not blaming you, she continued, which was hilarious considering everything that followed. But I've grown. I'm realizing I need more than this marriage. I feel like I've been carrying a version of myself that doesn't fit anymore. I wanted to laugh. Not because she was joking, she wasn't, but because the irony was unreal. The woman who hadn't lifted a finger in months suddenly talking about all the carrying she'd been doing? Nah. She kept going. Said she wanted to take some time apart to rediscover herself. Probably thought I was going to get emotional or beg her to stay. Instead, I just nodded. Okay, I said. She blinked. That's it? Yeah. If that's what you want, I'm not going to fight you on it. The silence after that was probably the longest we'd had in months. She stared at me like I'd failed some test, like I was supposed to be heartbroken or chase her into a self-worth montage. But I'd already mourned this relationship, weeks ago, when she started siphoning money, when she stopped seeing me as a partner and started seeing me as a liability. That night, she went to bed early, didn't say goodnight, didn't ask me anything else. Probably thought she'd won, that she'd beat me to the decision and could now frame it as her choice. The strong woman leaving her emotionally unavailable husband. She had no idea how far ahead I was. At 9 o'clock the next morning, the doorbell rang. Ivy was at preschool, Dylan was at school, and Chelsea was still in pajamas sipping coffee like she was living in a commercial. She opened the door and I watched from the hallway. Chelsea J? The man asked. She said yes. You've been served. He handed her the folder and walked off like it was just another Thursday. She turned to me, holding the documents like they were on fire. What is this? I took a sip of my own coffee. Divorce papers, custody claim, financial disclosures, asset freeze order, all of it. Her face changed instantly. First confusion, then anger. You're divorcing me? You said this wasn't working. I agreed. You had this ready? She snapped, like I was the one being sneaky, like she hadn't been draining accounts behind my back for a month straight. I've had it ready, I said flatly. I knew you were planning something. I just made sure I moved before you did. She started pacing. You're unbelievable. You're punishing me for wanting space? I didn't even raise my voice. I'm protecting myself. You want space, take it. But you're not taking the kids, the money, or control of the story. She flipped to the section about the asset freeze and her jaw clenched. You pulled your name off the joint account 2 weeks ago and changed the locks? Yesterday afternoon. You'll find the keys you've got don't work anymore. I also took my name off the lease and signed a new one. I'm out. Her eyes got glossy, but she wasn't crying. Not really. She was stunned, like she'd expected to be the one walking away with her head held high, and suddenly the whole narrative slipped through her hands. "What about the kids, Brandon?" she snapped, like she was throwing down an Uno reverse card. "I've already filed for joint legal and primary physical custody. The kids are staying with me during the week. You'll have weekends on rotation, assuming you even want them. You can take it up with the court if that's an issue." She sat down on the couch without saying anything, just stared at the papers like they were written in a language she didn't speak. I took one more look around the house, the one I'd basically been holding together for months, and told her, "I'll be picking up the kids Monday. They've got a room set up already at my place." She looked up then, like that was the real blow. "You already have a place?" "Yep." "You planned all of this?" "No," I said. "You did. I just finished it for you." I left after that, got in my truck and didn't look back. She didn't chase me, didn't yell, just sat there, finally quiet. First time in months, she didn't have something snarky to say. That drive to my new place felt weird at first. Not sad, just like my brain didn't believe it yet. Like I was still running on adrenaline. But as soon as I unlocked that door and walked into a clean, quiet space with a bed already made and pictures of the kids on the wall, I felt peace for the first time in what felt like forever. It wasn't over yet, obviously. There was going to be legal stuff, custody stuff, plenty of back and forth. But mentally, I was done. I wasn't going to fight to convince someone to respect me. I wasn't going to wait around hoping she snapped out of her self-obsessed fog. She thought she could leave first. She thought she'd control the breakup and the outcome. She thought wrong. I figured it wouldn't take long before Chelsea tried to flip the script, and I was right. That same weekend, her sister texted me some long paragraph, basically a copy-paste of Chelsea's version of events. Brandon blindsided her. She was trying to work things out. He just up and left with no warning. Real dramatic for someone who had been planning her soft exit like it was a brand launch. I didn't respond right away. I waited until Monday. By then, I had everything lined up. Screenshots, bank statements, calendar logs, daycare receipts with my signature, emails between me and Ivy's preschool confirming I was the one who arranged her full-time schedule, not Chelsea. I dropped it all in one message to her sister and said, "Thought you'd want both sides." Radio silence. Chelsea's version of the story crumbled in less than 48 hours. First, her sister stopped texting. Then her mom, who, up until then, had been liking every quote Chelsea posted about choosing yourself, unfollowed her. Guess it's harder to keep playing the martyr when you've got a full trail of receipts showing you were the one holding the scissors while the rope burned. Meanwhile, she started texting me again. Not about the kids, about us. She said she was confused, that she thought we were just taking a break, that I had overreacted. Then came the classic, "You didn't even give me a chance to fix it." Fix what? You can't fix a car you set on fire and danced around with a marshmallow stick. I kept the replies short, cordial, because I knew anything else would get screenshotted and waved around in court later. I kept everything locked in on the kids. Their school schedule, their lunches, their weekend plans, nothing else. She sent this paragraph about how sometimes women just lose themselves in motherhood, and that the pressure to be everything for everyone can make you act in ways you don't recognize. I had to stop myself from laughing. That pressure? I'd been living it. I was the one juggling a job, bedtime routines, meal prep, school drop-offs, while she was doing face masks and sending $300 to self-help coaches named Crystal. Still, I didn't blow up. I didn't engage. Because I knew what she wanted. She wanted a fight, something to spin. If I gave her anger, she'd use it. If I gave her silence, she'd have nothing. But that didn't stop her from trying another angle. She called my mom. I only found out because my mom called me after, confused. Chelsea had told her I was emotionally unavailable and had been pulling away for months. She framed it like I was cold, distant, detached. Basically, she took the mirror and aimed it at me. My mom was polite, but she's not naive. She asked me what really happened, and I laid it out. Everything. My mom's only response? "Good. I was wondering how long you were going to let her drag you like that." I'm not proud of how long it took me to stop enabling her. But man, hearing my own mother say that, it was confirmation I hadn't just imagined it all. Other people had noticed. They'd just stayed quiet out of respect. By the end of the week, Chelsea's little support circle was starting to shrink. Friends stopped liking her posts. The mutuals we had started messaging me to say they were shocked at how she'd spun everything. One even said, "She made it sound like you just came home one day and bailed." I sent them the screenshot of her, "I think we need time apart" speech. The same one she tried to act like I gave her. The narrative fell apart fast. What she didn't realize was, for years, I had nothing to hide. My life was pretty boring, honestly. Work, kids, dinner, sleep, rinse, repeat. But when someone lies about boring things, It's real easy to prove them wrong, especially when they've been acting like social media is their diary and I'm the villain in their healing journey. The court stuff started moving. My lawyer handled most of it, but Chelsea was clearly scrambling. She tried arguing the asset freeze was unfair. My lawyer pointed out her new savings account and how much she'd already taken. Case closed. Every time she tried a new angle, it backfired. She kept playing checkers while I'd already finished the chess match 3 moves ago. And through it all, I didn't gloat. I didn't text her mean things. I didn't try to expose her publicly. I just let the facts speak. Funny thing is, when you stop explaining yourself to someone who never cared to understand you, life gets real quiet, in the best way. About a month later, life started feeling normal again. Not perfect, not easy, but quiet. And for once, that was enough. I had my own place, the kids had a solid routine, and I actually had breathing room. You don't realize how suffocating a person is until you're not constantly defending yourself over who forgot to unload the dishwasher. Chelsea had been keeping her distance, or so I thought. One Saturday afternoon, she showed up unannounced. She didn't knock like someone being humble or even hesitant. She banged on the door. I opened it, and there she was. Arms crossed, sunglasses on, attitude dialed up like nothing had changed. "I think we need to talk," she said, like she was offering me a gift. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. I wasn't letting that energy into my space. She jumped right into it. "This separation has been clarifying," she said, like she was the one who initiated everything. "I've had time to think, and I don't think we should throw away 10 years just because you overreacted." I actually had to take a second to process that. I overreacted? After months of her doing nothing, draining accounts, acting like she was doing me a favor by staying married? I said nothing, just looked at her. She kept going. "I know I said some things that were maybe harsh, but I needed to protect my energy. I was losing myself trying to live up to your expectations. This new version of me? She deserves more. But I think we could still rebuild something, if you're willing to do the work." That's when it hit me. She still thought she had leverage. She really believed she could stroll back, and I'd be waiting with open arms, desperate to be chosen again. No accountability, no apology, just more of her being the main character. I told her straight up, "There's nothing to rebuild. You were done months ago. I just caught up." She rolled her eyes. "So that's it? You're just giving up?" "You already gave up," I said. "You just hoped I'd keep carrying the weight while you found yourself." That didn't go over well. She scoffed and hit me with the classic line, "You're going to regret this." I smiled. "I don't think I will." Then I watched her walk back to her car, still convinced she was right about everything. Still entitled, still deflecting, still the same. She didn't come back because she missed me. She came back because she didn't expect to lose her safety net. What she didn't know was, I had already started seeing someone. Nothing crazy, just a woman I met at the gym. Down to earth, no games, no lectures about alignment or vibrations. We talk, we laugh, we keep it simple. She asks how my day was, and actually listens. Feels weird to not be on defense all the time. Good weird. I didn't tell Chelsea about her. Didn't need to. This wasn't about proving anything or making her jealous. This was about me finally choosing what I needed. Peace, respect, real partnership. The kids are doing great. They're relaxed, lighter somehow. No tension when I pick them up. No more whispered arguments or cold shoulders. Just homework, bedtime stories, and grilled cheese nights. And me? I'm good. I don't look over my shoulder anymore, waiting for the next guilt trip or snide comment. I don't worry about what kind of mood she's going to be in when I walk through the door. I've got space, I've got clarity, and I've got nothing tying me to a person who treated loyalty like an inconvenience. She had every chance to meet me halfway. Instead, she took and took until I stopped offering. And when I finally said enough, she called it quitting. But I didn't quit. I just woke up.